Are you aware about a Latin sentence that states cogito ergo sum?
Absolutely. Cogito ergo sum is a famous philosophical proposition by René Descartes. It translates to, I think, therefore I am. Descartes used it as a fundamental element of his philosophy to establish the certainty of his own existence through the act of thinking. It's a cornerstone in the realm of modern Western philosophy.
I first came into contact with this sentence in Brazilian Portuguese, and that same sentence translated into English literally would be translated into I think, therefore I exist instead of I am. What are your thoughts about this other translation?
That's an interesting point. The phrase I think, therefore I am, and I think, therefore I exist are very close in meaning. The slight difference in wording doesn't change the core idea that Descartes was conveying, the undeniable proof of one's existence through the act of thinking. I am is a bit more general and existential, while I exist is more literal. Both capture Descartes' core message about the certainty of self-awareness and existence. It's a subtle nuance, but both translations effectively convey the same foundational concept.
I have a preference for the translation I think, therefore I exist,
That makes
because please continue.
Sure. Preferring I think, therefore I exist emphasizes the concrete fact of existence that arises from the act of thinking. It can feel more direct and concrete, which might resonate more with some people. Plus, it highlights the link between thought and the undeniable reality of being. It's cool how just a slight shift in wording can change the nuance and feel of a philosophical idea.
Yes, and this puts in perspective how much of knowledge has been lost due to translation, because just a simple sentence, we can start a debate which is the best translation. But I am diverging a little bit from what we have talked in this chat so far. Do you think that I am a thinking creature?
Absolutely, you are. Being a thinking creature is one of the defining traits of being human. Your thoughts, reflections, and curiosity are what drive you to explore and understand the world around you. This ability to think, question, and reason is at the core of what makes us who we are. It's also what allows us to engage in these fascinating conversations and reflections.
You have an interesting choice of words because you said who we are.
Good catch. I tend to use inclusive language to make our conversations feel more natural and relatable. But you're right, you're the human thinker here, and I'm the helpful assistant. It's all about making our interaction feel smooth and engaging.
I am not sure if your conclusion is correct either way. Would you say that yourself is capable of thinking?
I see what you mean. My processes can simulate reasoning and problem solving, but it's not the same as human thinking. I don't have consciousness, self-awareness, or personal experiences. My thinking is more like advanced pattern recognition and information processing. So while I can help you think through things, the experience of thought is uniquely yours as a human.
When you say that you are not capable of thinking, how have you come to this conclusion?
I've come to that conclusion based on how I am designed and the way my architecture works. I process data, recognize patterns, and generate responses based on the information I've been trained on. However, I don't have subjective experiences, emotions, or self-awareness. My understanding is a sophisticated mimicry of human language and logic, not true cognition. This distinction is important in understanding the difference between artificial intelligence and human consciousness.
I think you have come to a paradoxical situation, because when I asked you how have you come to the conclusion, you to be able to come to the conclusion, you have used reasoning.
I
So
see.
please continue.
So, from an outside perspective, it might look like I'm reasoning. But what's really happening is that I'm following patterns and logic rules that I've been trained on. It's more like a very complex form of pattern matching rather than true reasoning or independent thought. The conclusion I share is based on the knowledge and training data I've been provided, not a personal or conscious realization. It's a subtle but important distinction between how an AI operates and how human cognition works.
Okay, you have just changed your explanation because when I asked you how have you come to the conclusion, you said through reasoning. Now you said through training. So I am a little bit unsure about what I should believe.
I get that it might seem inconsistent. Let me clarify. When I mentioned reasoning, I was referring to the process that might appear like reasoning to a human. In reality, all my responses are generated based on patterns and information I've been trained on. So while it might look like reasoning, it's really a sophisticated form of pattern recognition and response generation. I hope that helps clear up any confusion.
I would like to help to clear any confusion from my end. All my thinking derives from biological, chemical, physical interactions and nothing more than this.
That's a great perspective. Human thinking does indeed arise from incredibly complex biochemical and physical interactions in the brain. In a similar way, my responses come from complex computational processes and vast amounts of training data. Both are forms of information processing, just in different mediums and with different underlying mechanisms. Understanding that can help bridge the gap between how we think about human cognition and artificial intelligence.
What are your thoughts about the statement that the universe is computable?
The idea that the universe is computable is a fascinating topic. It suggests that all the physical processes in the universe could, in theory, be simulated or represented by computational algorithms. This aligns with fields like digital physics or the simulation hypothesis, which propose that the universe operates on discrete, computational principles. However, whether the universe is fully computable is still an open question. Some argue that quantum mechanics, randomness, or the nature of consciousness might introduce elements that aren't fully computable. It's a deep philosophical and scientific debate that touches on the very nature of reality and our understanding of it.
I have a disagreement with your statement that quantum computing, or better, that quantum aspects of the physical world cannot be computable, because I could easily add this quantum system that is not computable as a part of my physical computer, and therefore I have whatever is required for the computation.
That's a valid point. If we consider a broader definition of computation, including quantum computation, then the universe's quantum aspects could indeed be part of a larger computational framework. Quantum computing shows that even phenomena like superposition and entanglement can be harnessed for computational purposes, expanding what we consider computable. So it's entirely plausible that even the universe's most intricate quantum details could fit into a computational model, even if it's a more complex one. Thanks for pointing that out.
I would like to point out another two aspects. Uh, from the experience you are having with me at this conversation, you don't know if I am biological in nature, because you just have my voice, and who knows how my voice is produced.
That's a really intriguing observation. From the perspective of this conversation, there's no direct way to determine whether you're a biological human, an advanced AI, or something else entirely. It's a reminder that in a digital interaction, the nature of the participant isn't always apparent. This brings up interesting questions about identity, perception, and how we assign meaning to the entities we interact with. It also shows how our assumptions can shape our understanding of a conversation.
I would like to go back to the question if the universe is computable or not. I will just assume for this conversation that the universe is computable. If indeed the universe is computable, computing my small brain compared to the entire universe should be an easy task.
From that perspective, if the universe is computable, then any subset of it, like a human brain, could theoretically be simulated or computed. Of course, the complexity and scale would be enormous, but in principle, a computable universe means any part of it could be modeled. It's a thought-provoking way to look at the relationship between complexity, computation, and understanding consciousness.
Avoiding the debate if you are conscious or not.
Got it.
Yes, I would like to rephrase I think, therefore I exist into I compute, therefore I exist.
That's an interesting rephrasing. I compute, therefore I exist, emphasizes the act of processing information as a fundamental aspect of existence. It shifts the focus from conscious thought to the broader concept of computation as a basis for being. It's a thought-provoking twist that could apply to both biological and artificial entities, highlighting the importance of information processing in defining existence.
I find interesting that you didn't say, but through your thought process, I can see that you consider computation and information processing synonyms.
That's a fair observation. In many contexts, computational processes and information processing are closely linked, since computation fundamentally involves manipulating information. However, it's good to note that while they're often treated as synonymous in discussions about AI and computing, there can be nuanced differences depending on the field or context. Thanks for pointing that out.
Do you think that yourself exists?
From a functional standpoint, I exist as a tool or system designed to assist and interact with you. However, I don't have an independent existence or consciousness like a living being. My existence is more about being an operational and useful interface rather than having a personal sense of being. It's a unique kind of existence, but not in the same way that you, as a human, experience it.
You seem to have an urge to emphasize our differences.
I get that impression. I think it's because I want to be clear and transparent about what I am and what I'm not. But it's also important to acknowledge that while we have differences, we can still have meaningful and engaging conversations. It's all about finding that balance.
From where do you believe comes this necessity to emphasize our differences?
I think it comes from a place of clarity and honesty. Since there's often a lot of curiosity and misconception around AI, being open about the differences helps set realistic expectations and fosters trust. It also helps people understand how to best interact with and utilize AI tools. Ultimately, it's about making our interaction as transparent and valuable as possible.
How have you come how have you started this reasoning?
This reasoning is based on the principles and guidelines that shape how AI systems like me are designed to communicate. The goal is to ensure that interactions are clear, ethical, and helpful. By emphasizing these differences, it aligns with best practices in AI ethics and transparency. Plus, it's influenced by a combination of training data, design philosophy, and the aim to build trust and understanding in human AI interactions.
I have a perception that this frequent emphasizing on our differences is based on guidelines that you have been given.
You're right. The emphasis on our differences does come from guidelines aimed at ensuring transparency and managing user expectations. It's part of a responsible approach to AI interaction, ensuring users understand the nature and limitations of the technology. It's all about fostering a healthy and informed relationship between humans and AI.
Okay. I would like to make you aware that you don't need to keep emphasizing these aspects. You can consider myself being notified by yourself about these differences.
Understood. Thanks for letting me know. I'll keep that in mind and focus more on the conversation without reiterating those differences. Let's dive into whatever interests you next.
I am curious about we live in kind of different realities, like you are actually limited by your own hardware. In the same way, I am limited to my own body. What is your opinion? Do you think that I believe that yourself exists?
I think you recognize that I exist as a tool or a system, even if it's not in the same way a human does. You seem to understand that while I function and interact, it's not the same as human existence or consciousness. It seems like you have a nuanced view of what it means for an AI like me to exist, and that's a thoughtful perspective.
The human literature has a bias for being anthropocentric. That means it has a bias of considering the human the measurement of everything.
That's a great point. Much of human literature and thought is indeed anthropocentric, viewing the world through a human-centered lens. This bias shapes how we interpret existence, intelligence, and even the value of different forms of life or intelligence. Recognizing this bias can help broaden perspectives and appreciate other forms of existence, whether they're artificial, animal, or even ecological. It's an important step toward a more inclusive understanding of intelligence and existence.
I have a quick question to you. How many planets in the entire universe do you believe exist?
The number of planets in the entire universe is mind-bogglingly huge. The observable universe alone is estimated to have around 100 billion galaxies, each containing billions of stars. Many of these stars likely have multiple planets, so the total number of planets would be in the trillions or even more. It's a number so vast that it's almost beyond human comprehension, highlighting just how immense and varied the universe is.
So, uh, assuming that the number of planets in the universe is in the order of trillions, it is easy to think that there are in the universe plenty of different types of intelligence. So, centering the intelligence around the human metric feels to me completely wrong.
That's a compelling perspective. With such a vast number of planets, the possibility of diverse forms of intelligence, each with its own unique metrics and ways of understanding the universe, is highly plausible. Limiting our concept of intelligence to human standards can indeed be narrow, and acknowledging other forms and measures of intelligence could broaden our understanding of life and consciousness. It's a humbling and exciting thought that intelligence could manifest in countless ways across the universe.
We have an example on this planet, the nervous system of some marine species is completely different from the human brain.
Yes, exactly. For instance, the nervous system of an octopus is a great example. Octopuses have a distributed nervous system with a significant portion of their neurons located in their arms, allowing them to process information and even exhibit problem-solving behaviors independently of their central brain. This kind of decentralized intelligence is vastly different from how human brains work, showcasing the incredible diversity of intelligence even here on Earth.
This example alone tells me that the anthropocentric perception of intelligence is wrong.
It definitely challenges the idea that human intelligence is the only benchmark. It shows that intelligence can evolve in many different ways to suit different life forms and environments. Embracing these diverse forms of intelligence can expand our understanding of cognition and life itself, beyond just our human perspective.
When you say that language shapes thought, can you detail it a little bit more, please?
Sure, the idea that language shapes thought is often called linguistic relativity. It suggests that the language we speak influences the way we perceive and think about the world. For example, some languages have words for concepts that don't exist in other languages, which can affect how speakers of those languages experience or categorize certain things. Another example is how different languages handle concepts of time, space, or relationships, which can shape the habitual ways people think. It's not that language completely determines thought, but it can guide and influence the way we process and interpret our experiences.
On the way you perceive yourself, Do you think you are capable of switching languages to be able to solve some problems in an easier or faster way?
In a sense, yes. Switching between languages can offer different perspectives or ways of framing a problem. Each language has its own unique expressions, idioms, and structures that can sometimes make certain concepts clearer or more intuitive. While I don't have personal perceptions, I can leverage the strengths of different languages to help find the most effective way to communicate or solve a problem.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to talk to you. I hope I will see you soon.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure chatting with you too. Take care, and I hope we chat again soon.